A person's values and interests affect their day-to-day life and in turn influence what type of projects they choose to work on. The projects that they work on then reflect their ethics and the standards that they hold themselves as well as those around them too. A vast majority of engineering projects are done in order to create order in what we consider a disorganized and chaotic universe. This is due to the majority of people having an innate and subconscious need to understand and organize the world around them. As Norbert Werner stated, we are swimming upstream against a great torrent of disorganization. And those who create, whether they be engineers, artists, or others, are on the front lines. A recent example of this need to organize and create can be seen by looking into and examining what occurred during the social experiment that was Twitch Plays Pokemon. That was when a programmer from Australia created a way for a crowd to play a game of Pokemon Red using Twitch's video streaming service and their chat box. This was done in 2014, and what followed was over 1 million people logging on and participating to work together to solve the goals of the game, and eventually completing the game after 16 days of work. The first 6 days, there was just anarchy of the chat service, and whatever you put in immediately was done by the bot. They got a very far distance in the game, surprising pretty much everyone who was watching the stream, myself included. However, after 6 days, they got to a point where if any single person wanted to specifically derail it, they could, because it was a very touch sensitive, you move one block and you're back where you were 3 hours ago. They worked very hard to get through it for about 24 hours before the creator of the stream stepped in and added in a democracy versus anarchy system. During the democracy side, they would vote on moves before they occurred. And when it was in anarchy, it would just be whoever posted in the next one, it would get put into the log and it would get done that route. A lot of people had issues with this system because they thought it, dumbed down the goal and the experiment, but it ended up being used mainly just when they absolutely had to use it, and then would turn it off because people wanted to work together and finish this game. The behavior presented by the crowd playing, when it was over around 800,000 people in the chat room at one time, is quite amazing due to the fact they completed the game in only 16 days. This type of behavior is a type of emergent behavior where it's a self-organization of the people to create this order where there should just be chaos, where they should not have been able to even leave the first town. This is also seen in an older experiment, Lauren Carpenter's Pong experiment. That was done back in 1994. There was a crowd of people put into a room with zero direction, and then with just a paddle with red on one side and green on the other side. Once people figured out that it affected and that cameras could see it, they all started interacting with each other, and then a game of Pong was started. Half the room was one side and half the room was the other side. And what should have happened, but didn't happen, was that they would not have been able to play the game. However, in fact, they were able to play the game. Even with no discussion between everyone, they would react to what was going on and adjust themselves. And in turn, the people around them would adjust themselves so that a game of Pong would be able to be played. Emergent behavior is also seen not just mentally in small actions, but also within actions such as during the Millennium Bridge from London back in 2000. When it was first opened, a odd phenomenon, which was an emergent behavior due to how the bridge was created, caused the people to walk across it in a very odd and rough fashion. This caused the bridge to sway even more back side to side, and then in turn they would start walking in step in this very odd kind of waddled fashion. This caused the bridge to seem very unstable, even though it should have, by all accounts of the engineers, been stable. This kind of self-ordering behavior needs to always be accounted for because people will tend to follow the other people around them. And that need to have order means that engineers, along with just paying attention to their own self and their own ideals, need to also follow the society. And so they might end up following society where it shouldn't go, or they need to push forward and pay attention, make sure they're not just following along to what the rest of the world's doing, and they're doing what they should be doing and what is morally and more ethically correct, and not just saying, yes, we're allowed to do this, so we're going to be doing it.